What's up guys, it's Michael here. Today we're going to discuss about one of the videos that Graham Stephan made on why millennials are going broke. So let's get into it. So first, he states basically 4 main things why millennials are going broke. Based on what he said, it's based on a lot of facts in there, but let me give from my point of view because I personally have seen it myself. And personally, I believe he's seen it. I believe most generations don't understand, especially this current generation, how do people act. So first, he got to the first point. Is basically smashing the like button down below and a subscribe button, so it'll help out this channel a lot, is student loan debt. Student loan debt is becoming increasingly high. And you look at it now, the debt's about what, $1 trillion something? And as he mentioned, school from before, a lot of people attend school before because it was way cheaper. And I agree it was way more important because we didn't have technology like the internet. So there's 2 sides of the story. It's a yes and a no. Yes is where it becomes way more expensive because, thanks to inflation and times change and wages change. Yes, Graham Stephan is correct. It is becoming way more expensive. As for the skill, this is the part that's really tricky because certain degrees require a certain skill. So in his case, if he says going to school, for example, like an art degree, maybe improving house, construction, there's a line you can draw, maybe basically 30 jobs, hard work that doesn't require you to think as much. Or anything such as, for example, like a teacher has to teach in a school, not teaching online or anything, teaching in a school, teaching their craft. Anything that doesn't require you to have a degree, he is 100% correct. It's pretty much useless. You get that degree, get a job, or maybe you can get a different job, and it doesn't even, you can't pay off that loan because school itself becomes really expensive. So you look at private schools. If you go to private schools, it's even more expensive. Even you don't even go to private schools, go to public schools, it's still pretty expensive. But student loan keeps racking up. The only time he specifically mentioned is basically if you go to school, if you're becoming a doctor, a lawyer, maybe a tax accountant, an engineer, and within those, there's multiple categories, you got to go specialize from there too. That is when it's worth it. But when you come out, you got, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. So you got to be wary about that. So if you're going to go that route, make sure you got to make sure you want to do it because it's like investment. It's a long-term deal. It's a long deal. Once you get into it, you take that loan, you better prepare yourself. It's going to be a long, long time. It's basically a portion of your life you will dedicate. And whether or not, you got to see whether you like it or not. Another thing that Graham didn't mention, if you just, hell-bent on just going to school to take a look at it, just to, whatever your parents said, make sure you like it. And the only way you can like it, and I figured out this myself, is to go and try that field. For example, Graham didn't like school, right? And for example, for me, I found it wasn't, worth going to school. Go try it out. Give it a test. And when I test, don't give it like a day. Don't give it a week. Don't give it a month. Give it a consistent period of time. So I say at least a couple months, at least 6 months. Give it a test and see whether or not you can sustain that stress load. Because at the end, it's all about persistence. If you can handle it, you can do it. As for student loan, at this point, it's still going to get worse because think about this. School is a business. They're there to make money off us. And we are supposed to pay it back by working a job that majority of the people that pick are worthless. So going down his list, number 2 is he's saying that millennials, majority, I believe like 40 or 45% are not investing. And I hate to break it to him. I think he's wrong on that. You know why? Because I'll probably say it's about 70 to 80%. And the reason why is because a lot of people I know, including my friends, a lot of people in school and you go talk to them, it's like almost majority, close to none of them invest. It's ridiculous. So when Market Watch or whatever article he found said they don't in 40 to 45%, I'm pretty sure that number is skewed. It's probably way more than that. And he's saying that millennials are basically done for. It's 100% correct. I'm pretty sure that number is within the 60 to 70% mark that don't invest. And the reason why is as simple as that. Never taught how. No one ever told us how. No one ever mentioned why investing is important. And they never expect that investing can be even beneficial. They think they all look for short-term gains. They don't think of the long-term gains because investment is a long-term gain. And based on an article he looked at why people And millennials don't like invest. He breaks down a whole entire list of it. Why people are scared of this, scared of that. They call it a fraud, for example. He's 100% correct on that one. But, there's a lot of good companies out there. Besides that little side swap of a squabble, there's a lot of good companies, investments. You don't have to choose whatever the one that's, creating the moves, creating the backdoors and stuff. You can choose basically index funds, S&P 500s. You have a lot of other choices. You just want to do the research. And some people say they're lazy. Well, you're correct. Welcome to the millennial age. Technologies have made us so comfortable that we can't even do something so simple. For example, even driving a car ourselves. That's changing to that point. But hey, welcome to real life. The technology advances because technologies that make us more comfortable, such as, click the like button down below. Pretty soon, later on, you guys will automatically click for me without even blinking an eye. Going down to number 3 that Graham mentions is most millennials don't own a home. I have to agree with him because millennials, like he said, there's student loan debt you got to pay off. And thanks to the pandemic, housing are way more expensive than before. And also, since they don't invest, they have no money coming in. Their only income is being generated is basically from their job. And most of them, like he said, they hate their jobs. And as Graham also mentions, millennials should switch jobs basically every 2 to 3 years. If you switch job, most of the time they find high increased pay. And based on what I've seen myself, he is 100% correct on that too. Because think about a business and a company, there's only really, really specific companies. For example, if you are a startup working with someone else, then a company and that person will care about you. But once a business becomes really big, like for example, like you look at Apple, Facebook, they don't care. Let's face it, they don't care about you. They're there to make money. You're trading your time and your skill and for them to make a profit. Simple as that. Win-win. So, as you mentioned, changing jobs is a better idea. And going down the list, as you mentioned again, the student loan debt is also driving them back from owning a house. If you think about it, most of them, as he mentioned, I believe he is actually correct on this one because owning a home, they're not ready for it. Most of them are not ready. As he mentioned before, because he's specific in real estate, you got a lot of repairs you got to do. You got a lot of, rules and regulations you got to abide by. You're not prepared for all those, bills you have to pay once you own a home. It's a lot of uptake. And now most of them are choosing to rent. And I'm not surprised because renting, I think it's more efficient. And there's ways to get away with, owning a home. For example, he mentioned house hacking. And in this channel, I mentioned house hacking too. If you do it that way, then you can live rent free. Question to that, which I actually never really understood until I met with other people, including my own family members. I asked them, why don't you, buy a house and do the house hacking method, rent it out? As simple as that, because millennials now, they value privacy more than ever. And I mean, it's kind of a little bit hypocritical when you start using Facebook and Instagram and, Apple and Tesla, you basically lost all your privacy, but yeah, they don't want to live with someone else. So they own a home, they think that way because they have this mindset saying that if you rent an apartment, you gotta, basically live with someone else. But if you own a home, you want to be completely private. I beg to differ because I look at more financially, financial aspect. If you look at more financial aspect, you will think differently. And going down his list, so he mentions the last one is millennials are making less money. And at the same time, their net worth is lower. So basically, those two tie in together. And the reason why is the net worth is lower because, as mentioned above, as he mentioned, no investments. You don't own a home because first of all, I don't blame you. Owning a home is difficult. And number 3, their job is not paying them enough because thanks to inflation, prices are rising up, and even they go down, they eventually come back up. And the reason why is go look at a history. Look at the history of prices from basically 1970, then look at until 2010 and now 2020. Look at how much prices have jumped. The easiest way to do it, look at gasoline. Gasoline back in around 2000, maybe 1995-ish, they're about less than $1 per gallon. Why has it now all the way jumped up to $2 and, in California's sake, almost $5? Why is that? Then that's basically inflation and lower net worth. It's, what can you do? If you don't have multiple income sources, you only have one income source is your job, you get fired, you're basically done for. And That's nothing much you can do unless you invest or you start up your own business. You find multiple income sources and you work for yourself instead of working for someone else. If you do work for someone else, have an idea to change jobs every few years and try and negotiate a better pay. Then you have, a better livelihood. So looking all the ideas that Graham Stephan said millennials are going broke, he is 100% correct. Just like these guys smashing the like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.